I've been driving around Central Texas these past several months, talking, to the folks about a number of things that I want to accomplish should they choose to have me go to Washington and represent them. And one of the things that's on my bucket list is enabling parents, families, to be able to afford alternatives to public education. In other words, it takes money if you're going to select something other than public education. You spend money on public education, local property tax for the school district. You've got state taxes that go to education here in Texas that makes up about half the budget. And not everybody can afford that. So how can you afford, empower every family, low income, all the way up to the folks that really don't need it? But that's not the point. The point is, educating the kids. And so when I'm on stage, I'm talking at the folks, just like I'm talking at this camera now. But before and after I get on stage, we have discussions. It's a back and forth conversation. And when it comes to this, this school choice idea of mine, this tax credit, I'll write down notes before I leave the venue when I get out in the truck and say, all right. And then I've compiled the most frequently asked questions. How much am I talking about? And I'll say in my stump speech, 10 grand per family with school-age kids. And when I mean per family, if you've got a lot of kids in the family, like I got 5 kids and 8 grandkids. So if it's 10 grand for my kids that homeschool their children, that may not go far enough. But as the grandparent, if I can kick in 10 grand, if their uncle can kick in 10 grand, or their aunt, or an older brother or sister can kick in, it's not about how much, because this is not a cash giveaway. You've got to save your receipts. Unless your name is Hunter Biden and you've got a sugar daddy, if they ever catch you not paying your taxes, you got to save your receipts. And if it only costs you $8,500 a year, then the 10 grand covers it. If you've got more than one child, if you got 3 or 4 kids, and the 10 grand doesn't cover it, say your bill's $15,000, hey Pop, why don't you apply also, and you'll get 5 grand of that 10 grand. I'll get 10 grand of that 10 grand. We're even Steven. All right. So that's how much and how it works. Some folks say it's not enough, and to that I say, how much you getting now? That would be 0 here in Texas. Some people say it's too much, and like I say, you got to save your receipts. It is not a cash giveaway. You did not hit the lottery. You're going to get back what you spent on alternatives to public education. When I talk to school teachers, and I taught at community college for 20 years. So I know the environment, I know the folks. Many friends are college professors all the way down K through 12 school teachers. I've got many of them. What about teacher pay? Well, it's not a teacher pay issue. And who's to say that these alternatives to public education won't pay more? We can't know that. But I'm willing to bet in a free market, this is a free market system, you might see more. And you're not waiting on some school board or somebody at the state capitol to decide whether or not you're going to get a raise. Supply and demand, baby. Some of them ask, and these are my teacher friends, and these are good questions. They're well intended, but they need to be certified, educational process. And I ask them, you mean the same certification process that the public schools go through now with the CRT and the drag queen story, and that certification process? Please. And they said, what about apathetic parents? What if there's apathetic parents that F things up and their kids don't get educated? That's what the public school system's for. If there's an apathetic parent that doesn't care what kind of education their kid gets, send them to public schools, man. But if there's a concerned parent and a parent that wants their child to have better than what this public schools provide in their community, let her rip, tater, chip. And here's another thing, talking about the free market pressures. If the public schools are losing a lot of students, they're losing money. Maybe they'll up their game so that the students, their parents won't yank their students out looking for something else. All right. Is it a budget buster? Nope, it's cost neutral. Here's how it works. Texas, that's where I live, gets about $30 billion a year right now from the feds, okay? Let's say Texans take advantage of this idea to the tune of $10 billion. So when the government, the federal government writes Texas a check, now if they're going to get $20 billion, that other $10 billion's not going to Austin, it's going to Texans. So Texas is still getting $30 billion, but some of it's going to get filtered through the state and the local, and some of it's going straight to the Texans. Can we say free choice? So it's cost neutral in that regard. But those are some of the most frequently asked questions when they query about my idea on helping parents fund alternatives to public education.